Hey everyone. Happy Thursday if you are watching this on time, and what's up to the replay crew if you are not. Today we are heading over to Butler County, Kansas to the courtroom of Judge Ricky. In front of him is Mr. Barnella, who has more charges in Sedgwick County, which is right across the street, than I have minutes in the day to start going through. So let's just say he has a ton, and that probably explains why he is incarcerated there with multiple felony charges pending, and they're having trouble getting him to appear in Butler.
In the District Court of Butler County, Kansas, case entitled State of Kansas versus Nathaniel Edward Barnella, case number 2022 CR 34. Joseph Favre appears as defense counsel. Jared Regier appears on behalf of the state. The defendant is not present. Apparently, Mr. Barnella is a current occupant of the Sedgwick County Jail facility. That jail facility is not on this meeting and was not brought into this meeting. Therefore, it's going to be necessary to reschedule the evidentiary hearing. Was it still going to be the intention of the defendant to want an evidentiary hearing, Mr. Favre?
I believe that's accurate, Your Honor, yes.
Well, we're going to need to reset it. And I regret any inconvenience caused by Mr. Barnella not actually being part of this meeting. I'm currently looking at Tuesday, July the 9th, Mr. Favre.
Judge, that entire week I'll be out of town.
11 o'clock on Tuesday, July 16th.
I'm sorry, Judge. What time did you say?
11 o'clock a.m.
I'm not available at 11. I'm available from 3 o'clock onwards.
Yeah, I have show cause docket that afternoon as a special setting of the docket.
I could do a 10 o'clock if there's a 10 o'clock or 9:30 even.
We could do 10 o'clock, Mr. Favre.
Okay.
Hopefully that'll work for the state's attorneys. Tuesday, July 16, 10 o'clock a.m. for the rescheduled evidentiary preliminary hearing in the Barnella case. We'll make efforts to contact and try to coordinate through the Sedgwick County Jail. Tuesday, July 16, 10 o'clock a.m. Once again, I regret any inconvenience to any subpoenaed witness that appeared to testify today. We'll just have to reset it to that time when the defendant can be present.
And Your Honor,
anything else? Okay, Mr. Regier.
On the limited issue of scheduling, it would appear that this is a case that was originally filed by my colleague, Mr. Sweeney. To the best of my understanding, he is available on the 16th at 10 a.m.
Excellent, Mr. Regier. Anything else, sir?
Not at this time, although if the court is ordering that this matter be continued, and the state certainly understands the legal requirements on that, the state would still thank its witnesses for appearing here today and honoring their subpoenas.
Very appropriate. Mr. Favre, anything further we need to address at this time?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Very well.
Good morning.
Then the Barnella case will currently be in recess and the meeting can be ended for all at this time.
Good morning. Hello.
Okay, wait a minute, guys.
Hi, it's Correctional Officer Council Munguia. Sorry we were late, and we were informed just a few minutes ago inmate Rogers didn't want to attend his court proceeding.
Okay, which inmate were you bringing
Rogers.
to?
Rogers
Okay.
and Michael.
The alleged victim, Your Honor.
Oh, I see. Okay, I want to go ahead and announce then, for purposes of KDOC staff, we've had to reschedule the hearing because we couldn't get the inmate defendant on this meeting. So we've reset this to Tuesday, July the 16th at 10 o'clock a.m. So your inmate that you have will need to be available at that time. July 16th, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, he has to attend. Is this Hawaii time or?
Excuse me?
Is this Hawaii time at 10 a.m.?
Hawaii time. It's
Yes.
Central time.
Okay, Central time. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and what facility are you with?
Saguaro Correctional Center.
Is that in Hawaii then?
No, we're in Arizona. This
Arizona,
is
I see.
for inmate Rogers, Michael Rogers, right? Am I on the same meeting?
Your Honor, if I may,
Oh.
this is Agent Sissel with Winfield Correctional Facility.
Yes,
The victim in this case was an interstate compact, and that's why he is in another state.
Mm,
I see. So yes, inmate Michael Rogers will be needed as a witness on July 16 at 10, which is Central
okay,
Daylight Time.
okay. Thank you. I'll
Okay,
let him
thank
know.
you for making him available. I appreciate the efforts of your facility as well.
Okay, you know what? No problem.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right. At this point, I think we're ready to recess. This is in the District Court of Butler County, Kansas, case entitled State of Kansas versus Nathaniel Edward Barnella. It's case number 2022 CR 34. State of Kansas appears by Brett Sweeney of the Butler County Attorney's Office. Joseph Fabre is defense counsel, separate from his client and defendant, Nathaniel Edward Barnella, who appears from a Sedgwick County Detention Center's Zoom location. This matter comes before the court at this time for evidentiary preliminary hearing. I trust the state's ready to proceed.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You may call your first witness.
Your Honor, the state would call Officer Brett Sissel.
All right.
I'm here, sir.
If you'd raise your right hand, please, I'll administer an oath. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matter now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes, sir.
You may question the witness, Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, would you please state your name to the court, please?
Yeah, it's Special Agent Brett Sissel.
And Mr. Sissel, where are you employed?
Currently, I work for the Winfield Correctional Facility in the EAI office. Special Agent is my position.
Okay. And how long have you been employed in law enforcement through the Kansas Department of Corrections?
I started my career with the Kansas Department of Corrections in 2014, and I took a position in this capacity in 2017.
Okay. And that is to say, special agent and kind of investigative division?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I specifically want to direct your attention then to July 9th, 2019. Where were you at? What facility were you at on that date?
Did you say July 19th, 2019?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I would have been office with El Dorado Correctional Facility in Butler County, Kansas.
Okay. Seconds. And so I specifically want to direct you to an incident involving an offender by the name of Michael Rogers. I noticed your affidavit has July 19th. When was your understanding of when that incident happened?
In the evening time of July 19th, 2019.
Okay. Thank you. And did you receive a phone call with respect to an incident that had happened out at the El Dorado Correctional Facility?
Yes, I would have received a phone call from what we refer to as a shift supervisor, a high-ranking officer within the facility that notified me that Mr. Michael Rogers had been the victim of an incident involving multiple suspects and weapons being present.
Okay. And where was your understanding of, was he transported to a local hospital or was he seen by internal medicine staff? Talk to me a little bit.
He was seen initially by internal medical staff and eventually sent to an off-site hospital for further medical attention.
Okay. And when you received this report of this attack, is it your protocol to come in that night or did you just address the issue the following morning?
Yes, I arrived in and began to review video surveillance to try to get a full understanding of what had occurred that evening.
Okay. And so did this happen in an area in which there was video surveillance that's conducted or is the KDOC has in place?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so did you have a chance to review the video as it pertains to this incident?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And can you talk to me about the area of the El Dorado Correctional Facility where this happened? If you could give maybe a description of the confines of the area.
Yeah, so the specific cell house was E Cell House within El Dorado Correctional Facility. E Cell House has two sides with a dividing center, and this occurred within the one side, back behind what we call an officer station, which is centrally located in E1. There's a room that is for, at that time, at least I can't tell you what it's used for now, but at that time it was used for laundry distribution for the inmates that were housed within that unit.
Okay. And are inmates allowed to go freely between these pods? Like, so if an inmate is in this E block, are they allowed to just go to another area of the prison, or is that regulated in some fashion?
They're not supposed to, but does it occur? Yes, it occurs.
Okay. And just kind of tell me, if you could, in review of the video and specifically with this incident, what did it appear happened?
Yeah, so there were three Caucasian individuals. One I knew to be Aaron Clay. The second I knew to be Nathaniel Barnella. And at first I wasn't sure of who the third individual was. But Mr. Michael Rogers was in the laundry room area, which has glass windows, so you can see inside of there. The three being Aaron Clay, Nathaniel Barnella, and the third individual walked fast to a point to where it was almost a run into that area, and you could see an altercation ensue with Michael Rogers as soon as they entered.
Okay. And so this is a laundry area where the prisoners have kind of autonomy over their own clothes. They do their own laundry. Is that accurate?
It's more of a distribution for their laundry. So the laundry is actually washed in a separate area. That's where it just comes so that it can be handed out to the persons that it belongs to.
Okay. And once the other individuals entered into the laundry room with Mr. Rogers, what can you tell from the video, if anything, when you reviewed it?
There was a lot of fast motion, motions consistent with what I would say being more stabbing style over the head type of motions coming from the individuals being Aaron Clay, Nathaniel Barnella, and that third suspect who was later identified as Shane Crozier.
Okay. Now, you said that you were familiar with Mr. Barnella. How is that the case?
So I, at El Dorado Correctional Facility, I was well knowledgeable in individuals that associated or may be validated within the white supremacist groups, and beings. Nathaniel Barnella was an individual I was aware of that at a minimum associated with those entities.
Okay. And do you have a rough approximation of how long Mr. Barnella had been at the facility before this particular incident?
I don't have a good timeline for you on that.
Fair to say long enough for you to be familiar with him?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Do you see that individual here in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
And if you could you maybe point that individual out and give a brief description for the court of what they're wearing?
Yeah, he's wearing an orange, what looks like a jumpsuit with a white shirt underneath of that. Looks like tattoos on the neck and tattoos on the forehead.
Okay. Your Honor, let the record reflect that the witness now identified the defendant.
The record so reflects.
Okay. And in the portion of the video that you could see, and I'm sure there's probably a number of different angles, at any point were you able to single out Mr. Barnella as doing anything physically violent specifically to Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, the three of them being Aaron Clay, Nathaniel Barnella, and Shane Crozier, all of three you could see were striking Mr. Rogers to some capacity, whether that was stabbing, hands, something of that effect.
Okay. Did you ever find any stabbing implements in this incident?
So Mr. Rogers admitted to recovering or taking more or less one of the improvised weapons from one of the suspects. And then a couple days later, I believe on the 22nd, there was a weapon that was found within that area.
Okay, and did it match the description that Mr. Rogers had given you of what he had been attacked with?
I don't recall, to be quite honest.
Okay, do you recall roughly what the implement looked like or how long it was?
The one that Mr. Rogers described for us was described to be more like a razor blade.
Okay, and did that appear to be consistent with what his injuries were?
Yes, he had several slicing and puncture wounds.
Okay, and when you say puncture wounds, I know you're not a doctor, but enough to draw blood?
Yes, sir.
How deep would you say?
I would say that some of them were at least an inch long, and I couldn't tell you how deep they were, but enough again that there was a red liquid substance that I would say was blood was definitely present.
Okay. How long did the attack take place approximately?
It is, I don't recall. I want to say 30 seconds roughly. And an officer, Dufault, responded to the incident and attempted to separate the aggressors from Mr. Rogers.
Okay, thank you. Now, it sounds like you may have had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Rogers. When did that happen?
That would have been July 22nd of 2019 while he was at the hospital.
Okay. And what, if anything, did he tell you about the attack?
He believed that it had a what we call a security threat group gang, layman terms.
Okay.
Some sort of motivation driven behind that.
Did he elaborate on that at all?
Yeah, he was what we call an interstate compact, meaning that he was convicted of his crimes in Florida, but we were housing him, and he believed that due to another individual that was from Florida having been attacked themselves by members of a white supremacist group, he believed that due to that there was essentially a standing decision or order that persons from Florida were to be attacked, shall they be in a general population setting around these individuals.
Sure. Did you ask him whether or not he knew the individuals that had attacked him?
Yeah, he believed that there were four, which from my video review was not consistent. But I asked him if he would be willing to testify against the individuals that attacked him, and he said yes.
Okay. Did you specifically ask him about Barnella?
I don't recall, sir, to be honest.
Okay. But again, you reviewed the video and you believe one of the individuals that you could identify was Mr. Barnella?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Did you have a chance to speak with Mr. Barnella?
No, I did not speak with Mr. Barnella.
Do you know if anyone did?
No.
Okay. Your Honor, I don't believe I have any further questions for Officer Sissel.
Bob Ray, do you have additional questions?
Yes, Judge, I do. All right, Officer Sissel. So I kind of want to clarify some of your testimony here because it seems a little vague to me in regards to the actual physical contact. So let's start at that moment. It sounds to me like you're saying you observed on the video Clay, Crozier, and Barnella all making motions towards Mr. Rogers in a violent manner. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you definitely saw the actual physical attack occur between these three individuals and Mr. Rogers, right?
Yes, you can
On
see
camera.
that through the just a window that is on the
Okay.
exterior of that room.
Okay. And did you see at any point a weapon in Mr. Barnella's hand?
No,
Did Mr. Barnella get searched after this incident was calmed down?
I could not answer that as a yes. I
To your
don't know. That's my answer.
to your knowledge, was Mr. Barnella's bunk ever searched after this incident occurred?
No, I don't know.
To your knowledge, was a weapon actually ever in the possession of Mr. Barnella?
No, I don't know that to be certain.
So it's fair to say that these motions could have been just with his fist, correct?
Yes.
Did Mr. Rogers ever say that Mr. Barnella definitely had a stabbing instrument of some kind and was stabbing him?
No, he did not name him specifically as having a weapon.
Okay. So is there any evidence at all that Mr. Barnella personally had a stabbing incident?
No.
Okay. Okay. I think that's about it for me. Thank you.
Anything further for this witness, Mr. Sweeney?
Your Honor, as far as redirects, given that line of questioning, I think I would ask permission to show my screen. And I think the state's going to go ahead and attempt to just admit State's Exhibit number 1, which I believe will be a very short video of the incident.
What is very short to you?
I think about 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes.
Any objection?
Well, I don't know we have foundation for the video. Is this video that
I can lay
Mr.
that.
Is this video that Mr. Sissel could provide foundation for? Or?
I believe so, Your Honor, if I'm allowed to go ahead and proceed with that line of questioning.
May do so.
Mr. Sissel, you previously stated that there's video cameras out at the Eldoret Correctional Facility.
Yes, sir. There's video cameras.
Okay. How is that collected? Is that run on CC cameras?
Yeah, it's downloadable.
Okay. And when there's an incident like this, what's the process for retrieving those videos?
So our office has access to that system, and we're able to download that most of the time to like a CD electronically. And with this case, I downloaded it to a CD.
Okay, so you specifically were the one that procured the video relevant to this specific incident?
Yes, sir.
Okay, was that provided to the county attorney's office?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay, would there have been a number of different camera angles that were provided to the county attorney's office from this specific incident?
Yes, sir, there was.
Okay, did you alter or edit those in any way?
No, sir.
Okay, so to the best of your knowledge, the videos that have been provided from inside the Eldorado Correctional Facility CC cameras, those are a fair and accurate representation as the incidents as you believe they happened?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Your Honor, the state would ask for the admission of State's Exhibit number 1 and ask for permission to publish.
Any objection at this point?
No objection.
Very well. The exhibit will be admitted into evidence, and you may show that at this time, Mr. Sweeney.
Yes, Your Honor, let me get the what I believe is will advance us here. Okay, go ahead and share my screen. Your Honor, I think that's the relevant portion of the video. And with the admission of that video, I don't think I have any further questions for Mr. Sissel.
Very well. Any follow-up regarding the redirect, which is essentially the video, Mr. Favre?
I guess just to ask Detective Sissel, now that you've seen that, or Mr. Sissel, now that you've seen that again, can you point out the part in there where Mr. Barnella has a knife?
No,
Any
sir.
kind of weapon? Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
All right, very well. I trust Mr. Sissel can be released from the meeting at this point, Mr. Sweeney.
I believe so, Your Honor.
Mr. Sissel, you can stay with the meeting or leave it. If you do stay, you'll need to remain muted. Thank you.
Thank
Next
you, Your Honor.
witness, Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state would call Mr. Michael Rogers.
Mr. Rogers, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, raise your right hand. I will administer an oath to you. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matter now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you
Yes, I
God.
do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Let me question the witness, Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, would you please state your name for the court, please?
Michael Rogers.
And Mr. Rogers, do you know why you're here today?
Obviously, because I got stabbed.
Right. And with that stabbing, well, let me ask you this. Where were you at July 19th in 2019? Were you in El Dorado Correctional Facility?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And you said that you got stabbed on that particular day. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And to the best of your ability, can you tell me what you're able to remember from being stabbed?
I don't remember anything.
Okay. Do you remember where it happened?
Nope.
Okay. Do you remember seeing who stabbed you?
Nope.
Do you remember speaking to investigators about being stabbed?
Nope.
Okay. Can you talk to me a little bit about the medical treatment that you received after being stabbed?
I really have nothing to say about this incident.
Okay. Did you go to Wesley Medical Center?
I have nothing to say about this incident.
Okay, well, Your Honor, that's non-responsive, I would think.
Mr. Rogers, answer the question.
I have nothing to say about this incident or anything that pertains to this incident. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
Again, self-incrimination. So you think that the answers that you might give would tend to incriminate you?
I have nothing to say about anything that has anything to do with this incident. I don't know who stabbed me.
Sweeney, are you going to continue this?
Your Honor, I don't know that I need to continue it. Well, let me ask one further question.
Right.
Were you able, Mr. Rogers, to see the video that was played in court today?
Yeah, I seen it.
Okay. Do you have any reason to dispute that that's you on that video?
I can't see who it was.
Okay.
I can't
Your
see
Honor-
anything in the video.
Okay. Your Honor, I don't have.
Obviously, nobody can see anything in that video. You can't see who did it or who was in that room or anything.
Your Honor, I have no further questions for this witness.
Mr. Favre, do you?
No, Judge.
All right. Next witness, Mr. Sweeney.
Your Honor, the state would call Miss Lori Grimmett.
Okay. If she'll raise her right hand, please, I will administer an oath. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matter now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Yes, I do.
Let me question the witness, Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you. Ma'am, would you please state your name for the court, please?
Lori Grimmett,
And Miss Grimmett, do you know why you're here today?
regarding this incident.
Right. You were subpoenaed, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Grimmett, can you tell me where you were working and what your capacity was in that job on the 19th of July, 2019?
I was working El Dorado Correctional Facility as a clinic nurse, and we would just go to medical events that were called.
Okay. So individuals that have medical issues or medical events inside the facility, you tend to those individuals?
Correct.
Okay. And is that just prisoners or that staff or everyone?
It could be staff if needed until other help arrived.
Okay. Well, then I specifically want to direct your attention, Ms. Grimmett, to the 19th of July in that year, 2019. Do you remember attending to a patient by the name of Michael Rogers?
Yes, but I do not remember the face or what he looked like.
Right. Do you remember roughly what the incident concerned and what medical treatment he was provided?
Just according to my note that I responded to the captain's office, it was just that he was stabbed in multiple areas.
Okay. And do you remember with any more detail where those multiple areas of stabbing were?
I can remember one was in the head, I believe some in the torso area, but as far as that, no.
Okay. Do you remember what course of action you took medical wise to kind of remedy the situation and if he needed further medical assistance at another provider?
We just was able to clean him up as best we could, kind of put, gauze on the wounds until an ambulance arrived, and then he was taken to Wesley Medical Center.
Okay. Now I guess you're going to have to tell me what the protocol is for when an individual has to be transported out of facility versus when they can be treated, kind of in facility. What is there a threshold there?
To a point, but with a stabbing, like he had several wounds, they just call in staff, and then they will escort him if need be, or they will ride in the ambulances. He is taken there.
Okay. Do you remember approximately or how many stab wounds he had?
I want to say 5, maybe a couple more than that,
Okay. A lot of blood.
for what I can remember. Yes.
Okay. Do you remember if there was any issues beyond just the stab wounds as far as internal organs or anything that you documented?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Your Honor, I don't think I have any further questions for the witness.
All right, Mr. Favre, do you?
No question for this witness.
All right, and I trust she can be released at this time, Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, you can stay with the meeting or leave it, but again, if you do stay with the meeting, please mute yourself. You have additional witnesses, Mr. Sweeney.
No, Your Honor, stay with rest.
Does the defendant intend to present evidence at this hearing, Mr. Favre?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. The court then will address prosecution counsel in this case. Mr. Sweeney, you personally made the charging decision in this case, since I see that you filed the information under your name. You charged knowingly causing great bodily harm. What evidence that you presented today indicates that there was great bodily harm in this case?
Your Honor, I would proffer to the court that anytime there's stab wounds that require or necessitate treatment outside of what can be provided in the facility, I certainly think that would qualify as great bodily harm. Additionally, I would note that the medical provider, Ms. Grimmett, testified that at least one of those stab wounds was in the head. I certainly think that anytime you have a stab wound in or around the head area, that additionally, just in addition to potential disfigurement, which hasn't necessarily been testified to, but I would certainly proffer that that's great bodily harm, at least to the threshold of probable cause. And additionally, Your Honor, one additional point I'd like to make is that the state, to the extent that it's needed, would amend the date from the 22nd to the 19th. I think the 22nd was the interview of Mr. Rogers. So to the extent that needs to be done, I'll go ahead and do that. But
And the amendment will be allowed.
Thank you, Your Honor. But it's Your Honor, I think it's just based on the amount of blood and the stab wounds that Mr. Rogers sustained in this incident that are being relied upon for the level 4.
Favre?
Judge, I think the preliminary hearing is established so that the state has some burden to meet a minimal evidentiary standard, so that people are not just dragged along in the justice system unduly with charges that don't have any merit. And I think the issue we have here with Mr. Barnella's case is, as the court noted, the question of great bodily harm was hardly addressed at all. We have some reasoning that there could have been great bodily harm, certainly nothing from Mr. Barnella, not really much from the nurse, other than there was blood, which could or could not be great bodily harm. My kid bleeds profusely when he bonks himself, but he's not in great bodily harm. And then there's the question of the stabbing weapon, which we don't really have any evidence at all that there was a stabbing weapon that was definitely in Barnella's hand or anywhere near Barnella. Or, I mean, there's just zero evidence of any kind of stabbing at all. So that's a big problem when you're trying to say that he used a stabbing weapon to cause great bodily harm. So I think that the state has not met their burden here. It asks the court to consider dismissing this case, and the state's free to, refile. I'd say without prejudice is appropriate, but if they want to refile with something more accurate, they're free to do so.
Understand your position, Mr. Favre. Counsel, bear with me one moment. Something I want to check. I will return very shortly. After a brief recess where the court has checked the appropriate statute at issue here, proceedings are resumed. Counsel, I'm inclined to agree with both of you to some extent. I think Mr. Favre is correct, but I don't believe that the crime charged in this case, the state has shown probable cause. However, the court does find that the evidence does reflect in this case that this defendant, Mr. Barnella, was identified by prison officials out of a very finite and confined prison population. So for purposes of probable cause, his identification is acknowledged by this court as an individual that was involved in a 3-person attack on Mr. Rogers, who seems to have no memory of the incident at this point and no apparent willingness to cooperate with this court. Nevertheless, the evidence is what it is, and the court does find that probable cause has been shown of a lesser included felony in this case. Under KSA 215413B1B, knowingly causing bodily harm to another person with a deadly weapon, or in any manner whereby great bodily harm, disfigurement, or death can be inflicted. There is no doubt that this joint attack where a stabbing weapon was used, whether Mr. Barnella actually wielded it or not, he was an aider and abettor, and in fact, an active participant in this joint violent enterprise. He's responsible for what happens to the victim that he co-attacks. Therefore, the court does bind Mr. Barnella over on the lesser included felony of level 7 aggravated battery. And as stated earlier, the court declines to bind Mr. Barnella over on level 4 aggravated battery.
We've seen this before, multiple times, in fact. However, if you're like me, you've probably completely forgot everything that's on it. What just happened there is the charges were reduced from a level 4 felony to a level 7 felony. So it went down in severity. And if you look at the chart, you can see it went from blue to blue and yellow. So that means he does have the possibility of probation, depending on his prior record, which didn't look like it was going to do him any favors, and from what I saw, but who knows? However, the fact that the video doesn't show their faces might work in his favor.
We'll proceed to arraignment at this time. Favre, there would be some amendment of the charging document necessary. Would your client be requiring it be read to him?
No, Judge, he would waive a formal reading at this time. We've talked about this.
And what plea is being entered?
At this time, a not guilty plea, Your Honor.
We'll accept the plea of not guilty to the remaining or the existing charge of level 7 aggravated battery. Court will set appropriate pretrial conference and jury trial settings. Jury trial in this case is established for December 3, 2024, 9:00 a.m. Defendant must be present in courtroom B at the Butler County Judicial Center in El Dorado, Kansas. Transport arrangements do need to be made for his in-person attendance. Court will be conducting a Zoom pretrial conference the week before. It'd be November the 26th at 2:00 p.m. I don't know if he'd already be transported locally to be present for the jury trial, or he'd be at his current facility, but he will need to participate fully in that pretrial conference by Zoom November the 26th. Again, 2:00 p.m. All right, Mr. Favre, is there anything else we need to address currently?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Sweeney, anything further at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Very well. I do appreciate the efforts made by the Sedgwick County Detention Facility to get Mr. Barnella before us. Apparently, local staff, short notice. So appreciate whatever efforts were made to make sure we could go forward with our case today. There's nothing further then. The Barnella matter will currently be in recess, and this meeting may be ended for